Hi everybody, it's Matthew here from Bead Spider. How are we all doing today? I'm going to be showing you how to make a really gorgeous little bracelet, which we've called the Mosaic bracelet. It's a really nice little design that I absolutely love, and I think you're really going to like it too. It looks super effective, but actually you'll be surprised how easy it is to make this gorgeous little design. So let's take a little look at what you would get inside each one of these kits. So of course, all of our kits do come with full instructions. You also get your thread and needle included. Let's just get all the bits out of the way. So you've got your thread and needle included. You've got, and good news today, everyone, I also have my my instructions back, so I know how much you like seeing the instructions. You do get your full set of instructions with all the information there. There's the nice little key there, but yeah, full of text, full of diagrams. That's included as well. Then on top of that, you've got your gorgeous little magnetic clasp just here. So you've got one of those, plus you've got your 3 colors of disc duo beads and your seed beads as well. So I'm going to make just a little mini piece today, I think. And I know it's not the right color, but I'm going to use the Spider-Lon in plum, just because I like how visible it is, and I know you guys kind of like it when you can see what I'm doing. Just zoom out a teeny weeny touch, and let's get these little beads out. Evelyn says, Matthew's instructions are the best ever. That's a lovely compliment there from you, Evelyn. Let's just pop that one up on the screen. I like that one. Matthew's instructions are the best ever. Well, thank you. If you haven't seen me before, or you're new to our stream, make sure you take a little look. There should be a link down in the description that will take you to the spot where you can sign up to our newsletter. There's quite a few little benefits to that. You get a £5 voucher for trying out any of our beading patterns, just like this little mosaic one. We do have plenty on there. I think we're in around about 90 different ones at the minute. But yes, there's lots and lots of different patterns. You'll get £5 worth of patterns to try out. So you can see I've got 3 different colors of my disc duo beads. If you've never used them before, they're really quite fun. They're little flat beaded coins, essentially. So yes, disc duo beads, 3 different colors, plus I've also got my magnetic clasp. You've got your thread and needle included. You get your instructions. And lastly, we've got our size 10 Preciosa seed beads. So as always, I love using Preciosa seed beads. They are gorgeous quality, but also they tend to be quite a bit cheaper than your Tohos and my Yukis and things. As I said, I'm going to have my instructions available for you to see. So let's take a little look at the very first instruction we've got. So first things first, let's just pop that one on. So I've got just here my little instruction there. So we're going to start by adding on a little stopper bead. It doesn't matter what bead you use. You can use anything that you have to hand. I might just use one of my seed beads because that's all I've got out at the minute. But then after that, we're going to pick up 2 of our disc duo beads. Now you can see in that picture, they're both the same color. If I take the next instruction, you'll see our next color is also there as well. But yeah, the little beads there, this one, we're going to just start with color number 1. So in this particular design, let's just put my instruction up there in the top corner. This little design just here, I'm going to grab my stopper bead, which, as I said, I'll just use one of my little seed beads, doesn't matter too much, and we'll just slide them down, get my beads out of the way for now. So, like I said, we've got 3 different colors of beads, so if I show you on the paper, just quickly, just get this out of the way. On my paper here, we have color A, color B, and color C. So you just have to lay them out so that you know which one is which in terms of how you would like to use them. Oh, a little bit too bright, doesn't matter. But anyway, so if I just zoom in, hopefully that will darken it a little. There we go. So color A I'm going to put on my left, Color B I'll put in my middle, and color C I'll put on the other corner there. So now that I've got those little beads all set just there, let's add on my stopper. So like I said, I'll just thread through that bead twice with these particular ones. So like you can see in the diagram beside, because my beads, if I just hold them up nice and close, you can see how they've got 2 holes on this side, flip them over, 2 holes on the other side. I really like playing with these beads because, as I said, they do have the 2 holes. I'm going to flip it over into right-handed view, by the way, in a minute. When I get down to tuition part, I will put it in right-handed view because I know you guys do like it that way. So what I'm going to do, as you can see with our diagram, I need to go through 1 hole of one bead and the other hole of the other. In this first little one, it depends on what bead that you've got, but you can sort of look at them because a lot of them are different on both sides. For example, these ones here, they're a Picasso finish. You might have one side that you like better than the other. So like, for example, this one is a little bit plain, this one a little bit nicer. So if you try and spend time making sure that your beads are the nice side up, when you go to wear it, you'll have the sort of the best looking design. So that's just a nice little trick that we're going to do. So, but I'll start with these ones. They're relatively similar on both sides, so it doesn't matter too much. But like I said, we'll go through 1 hole of one bead and the other hole of the other bead. So there's, whoops, wait a second, there you go. So you can see, just like in my diagram here, one bead is going to be sitting in this direction and the other bead is sitting in that direction. So now I can just slide them all the way down to my stopper. Of course, you can do this in your hands if you want, but because I know you guys quite like to see it nice and close when I do my tutorials, I might just leave it on the bead mat so that you can see what I'm doing. So that's essentially step 1. Really, really simple little design, as you'll see, but this is the very beginning. This is where we begin. So if we take a look at our instructions now, let's take a look at the next little diagram. So here we go. Here's our next diagram. I'm going to pick up, you can see where that red line is going. I'm going to pick up one of my color B beads, the second color of my 3 colors. I'm going to pick up 2 of my seed beads, go back down the same, like the second hole of the same bead, pick up the other bead of the same color, and then thread down through that first bead I added in this step. So I'll just show you very quickly what I'm going to do. I'll go with, so this can be my color A, this can be my color B, so I'll just swap them on the mat so I don't confuse them. Here we go. So I'm going through it nice and slow, even though it's super simple, because I will speed up in a bit once we've got past the basics, I suppose. So now, like I said, we want this nice side to show rather than the less interesting side. So I'll make sure my nice side is sticking up so that I know that when I want it to sit, I want to go through the hole on the left side of the bead there. So like that, I'll go through that, slide that down. I'll pick up my 2 seed beads. So there's my 3 little beads there, picking up 2 seed beads, which I don't know if you can quite see them, but these beads, these seed beads, are absolutely gorgeous. They've got this fantastic rainbow surface on them. I hope you can see it. Maybe if I pick up a few more, you'll be able to see a bit more. Or actually, I'll pick them up and put them in my hand. And maybe then you can see the rainbow color that you get. See that? Look at that gorgeous rainbow color that those beads have. I absolutely adore them. They're really, really lovely little beads. These are the ones that you get included with your kit, which I have a feeling on our website, they're color 127. So PSB 10 41010 -127. That's what these beads are. They're actually like a transparent grey with a rainbow surface. So I'll pick up 2 of those gorgeous little rainbow beads. So now, as I said, as per my little diagram, I'm going to weave back down through the, it's flipped over there, through the second hole of that same little bead. So see that just there? I'm going to go through that same bead. I need to pick up another one of these. So I'll pull this through. So it's all the way through, nice and tight, and sort of locking the beads in place. Because currently it's not locked in, but once we get past this first row, it will be. So just pull that nice and firm, and then I'll put it into right-handed view in a minute. So there's that. We pick up the next of our little disc duos. I'll examine which side I like better. This one's much of a muchness, so I'll go like this. Now, with this one, what we need to do is continue, so we want it to fit in this gap. It's almost like doing peyote stitch with disc duos, two-hole peyote stitch almost. So I'll go through the left side hole of this little bead here. So see that? I'm on that side, and then I'll go through the hole of the bead below, the second hole of the bead below, just like that there. Wait a minute, this might help. If I can just, oops, wrong way. Hopefully this will brighten things. There we go. Through that little hole there, pull that tight. Pull that nice and tight as we get that through. And then, as I said, you'll see it starts to come through really, really nicely. Whoops, just pulled the thread the wrong way. And your beads, let's just get it nice and tight down to my stopper. Pull them all the way through, just like that, until it's quite firm on my stopper. There we go. See, obviously you can do it in your hands and it will sit much easier. And then it starts to really come together. So see that? How's that looking? What do you think? Let's just see if I can get that out of the way. There we go. So that's sort of the beginning basis of how we work. So if we take a look at our next instruction, the next thing we're going to do is more or less just sort of repeat the process. So we literally are doing practically peyote stitch with these two-hole beads, which is quite fun. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is pick up 2 seed beads, go through that second hole, so you can see that up the top there. I'm going to go through that second hole, the left hole of one of those same color B beads, and then through the second hole of the bead that we added last in the previous step. So pick up a bead, pick up 2 seed beads and one of our tiles, go through this little second hole here and pull it nice and firm. So let's pick up our 2 seed beads, 1 and 2, pick up, check the side that we like the better, or definitely prefer this side on this one. So we'll go 2 beads through that hole there and through the second hole. So see that? We're exactly the same as our little instruction just there. There we go. Pull that tight, and now you can see this is giving us that that sort of stripe shape effect coming from our little design. So if we take a look at our next instruction, where am I? There we go. Next instruction here. Let's just pop that in. We're going to pretty much do the same as we did 2 steps ago. We're going to pick up 1 bead of our color C, pick up 2 beads in 2 seed beads, go back down that same little bead just there, and then pick up 1 more and through that bead that we added at the beginning of the previous step. So where am I? Here I am. So I'll pick up, like I said, one of these. They're the same on both sides pretty much, so this one doesn't matter. I'm going to need 2 of them plus 2 seed beads, so I'll go through the top hole, one of the hole of that little disc duo just there. Of course, because we're working with 2-hole beads, it's always important to check your holes before you use them. Check both sides because you want to make sure that they're working nice and effectively. Slide that down, pick up 2 seed beads, 1 and 2, like so. Thread back down through that same hole, and I'm going to do this whole process again in a second with my right-handed view so that you get to see it all. But like I said, you can see this one, it's a little bit loose at the minute, but when we pull that nice and firm, should all nicely come together. I mean, of course, you can do this in your hands if you want to, which I'll show you how to do that, what's a good way to hold it in a bit, but not yet. I want you to see exactly what I'm doing first. So there's the second one there. Now let's pick up our next little bead, and of course it doesn't matter which way this one looks, they're the same on both sides. So I'll just keep my thread out the way, go through that little bead just there, and then through the second hole of that disc duo bead below. So pull that through now. And the fun thing, I really do like these beads, the disc duos, because you can do so many fun things with them because they are 2-hole. They sort of sit with each other really nicely, but it's a really fun way. Like you could do circular brick stitch around them, for example, and whatnot. But there we go. So now if I just show you one more step, that will, oh well, I'll put the instruction big on the screen. There we go. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads, the final and third of my color, my third and final color C bead there, and then back up so that I'm coming back up more or less exactly where I was just before. So like I said, let's pick up 2 more of those gorgeous little seed beads, one of my blue, which doesn't matter which side I go through because they are pretty much identical. So I'll just thread through it. But like I said, a good little tip is when you've got them there, just take your needle through both sides. So if we go through this one here, just check that hole, and through this one here, we know that both sides are good holes. So we can use them with confidence and not have to worry. I'll just pop them aside, and now, in fact, I might rotate this just because I find it might be a little bit easier to work with sort of sideways, working back and forth sideways rather than up and down. So I can pull that nice and tight there, and then press my finger on it so I've got something to pull against, and then there we go. Once we've got that nice and firm, you can see it's really sort of starting to come together really quickly, really nicely, just like that there. Shall we have a look at it in right-handed view? So this is what I've been doing in left-handed. Let's flip on over and watch in right-handed view. So there we go. I've just flipped the table over there so that you can see what I'm doing, and let's progress on with this process so it looks like I'm a right-hander, shall we? Which essentially, if I flip this, here we go, I can work with my left hand as I have been. So let's have a look at the next instructione, which I think, here we go, yes. So now what we're going to do is come back to our color A. So we pick up 1 color A bead, 2 seed beads, go back through that same color A, pick up a second color A, and come back down through that one too. So let's just begin, shall we? So I'll pick up my color A, which are these ones here. I will, oh, you can't see it for the diagram there. I'll just move myself over a little. So there's my color A. I'll check both sides, see which one I like better. Makes no difference. Let's go through that hole just there, slide it down nicely into position. Oh, was there a question here? Could this be made on elastic? Yes, Sharon, you certainly could make it on elastic. Very, very easily. It's a great little design that can easily be made in elastic, this particular one. But yeah, this is quite a nice little design for doing in elastic if you wanted to. It might be quite stiff, so you don't want to use a particularly thick elastic, just because otherwise it'll be really difficult to stretch it open. So you'd need to use a relatively fine elastic. And just before I continue on, I'm going to just fill this little gap just here, check which side I like better, which I like this side. So I need to, if we just rotate it slightly, flip it over, there we go. If I rotate it slightly, you can see I want to have, which side do I prefer? This side here. So I'll make sure that I'm going through that correct side so that it will fit nicely into that gap through that end bead there, and pull that tight. And so now what I'm going to do essentially is just blast on through, do a few more rows so that you get the idea. Now let me show you how to hold your little piece in your hand if you want to. So just like this here, we're going to pick this little fella up, and I like to hold my thread between, just ignore my big gunky finger there, my index and my middle finger. I'll pick up one of my next color that I need to use here, and then I'll go through that next little hole further down. So we pull that all the way through. That will just sit nicely in position. And then I'll hold it with these 2 fingers. I quite like having a really firm tension. And you can see when you're holding it in your hand, it can be a lot easier for you if that's how you prefer to work. Otherwise, just leave it on the table, because if it's on the table, you can make sure that you're getting the right color bead in the right hole and everything. You don't have to worry about that so much at all. It's much easier to control which way the bead is going if you've got them laying down, because you can almost align it to where you want it to be. So let's just pull that. Let's pick up 2 more seed beads. My hairy arm in shot there. Maybe I'll move my seed beads so that doesn't happen again. Put them over here on this side so I'm not having to reach across. I didn't bring myself a nice little bead sort triangle today, so I'm not quite as nimble on my sort trays, on my beads there. And now let's pick up 1 more, and essentially we're going to continue this process until your bracelet is about the length you need it to be, minus your clasp, which, if we look at the clasp section, it's about 1 inch worth of space. So if we have a look on our purple colorway, so this little section just here, twice. That's how much we need to take into account for our clasp. So it's about 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches that we need to, whoops, my magnet got caught on my needle, that we need to account for. And then, yeah, like I said, you just continue along as you're going for. So what we're going to do, so now see how we've got 1 at the very, very end. 1 little bead at the end. What I'm going to do is just start weaving back down the edge of my bracelet. So if we just pop that back up on the screen, here's my my little piece just here, and exactly like my diagram, I'm going to weave down this little edge, and I'll just make it nice and big for you again. But each way as I go, I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads and fill the gap between each of those little beads that each of those little gaps that we've made. So taking a quick little look once more just here. So seeing as we're coming out just here, I'm going to continue all the way along the edge. So I'll pick up 2 seed beads and I'll pass through the 2 previous beads. See, like that? I'll put it down on the table so you can see what I'm doing. And this is really going to help us to lock everything in position, give it a really nice little edge border, as you can see. See, there's your nice little edge border that we're going to be making. That will sort of just clean it up, neaten it up, make it look fantastic. So let's just pull that nice and tight through there. Pick up 2 more seed beads, 1, 2. Obviously, if your tension is a bit different, you might want to use 3 beads, but it's variable. It's up to you. You can sort of 2 will probably fit nicely, but if you've got a bigger gap or whatever, you can use 3 beads if you prefer. It's up to you how many beads you add in these gaps. 2 is probably good, but you might want to use 3. Just depends. If you're using like a Miyuki 11 instead to do this task, because Miyuki 11s are a little bit thinner, you might find that you need 3 beads, in that sort of way, that sort of a thing. So it's entirely variable. You don't have to do any particular number, just whatever fits nicely in the gap, where we can see just here, these little gaps pretty much perfectly fit to Preciosa size 10. Matt, I made the black one for you to finish. Well, I'll get to that one. I'll do these little edges, but I'll show you the black one as well, seeing as I've got that piece pretty much ready to be completely finished. So I will look at that one. Thank you for the friendly reminder, Jermaine. I'd completely forgotten, actually. Now, don't forget this little seed bead here at the end. This is actually my stopper bead, so we don't want to go through that bead, because it's meant to be, just a stopper of completely different kind altogether. But yeah, so am I on my left hand or my right? I'm on my right hand view. So let's just fade that back out, and where am I? So what we're going to do now, yes, here we go. So if we have a look at the next instruction, we just ignore our stopper bead, we pick up 2 more seed beads, and then we come across all the way through the entirety of that piece, so that we can come back and do the opposite side. So let's just pop back over to my other one here, and let's put my instructions up too. And let's just go back, ignoring what is our stopper bead, through the entire length of all three of these so that we come out on the opposite side, like there. And then through both of the 2 seed beads at the very end. So you can see it in the diagram through both beads at the end there. I'm going to have to scroll down so I can see more comments. But yeah, here we go. Let's keep going. Pull that through all the way. Try not to get caught on your tail thread, which I almost did. So I'll take my tail thread back out of here, through there. There we go. Now they're separated. Pull that, and that's going to complete that little edge there. Don't forget that one is just a stopper, so it doesn't quite count. And then flipping this over, I can do the same through this gap here. Now, because Jermaine went to such an effort to make the black and white one, I will show you a little bit more. I'll do the second edge with the black and white one, and then I'll show you how to add a clasp. So let's just take off my needle from my thread here, which, as always, I am using Spider-Lon thread, which is what you get in your kit as well. Just because it is such a good quality thread, we always give you Spider-Lon. So I've just got to get myself back into position. There's Jermaine's stopper. Pull this nice and tight. So here we go. This is the black and white coloured version, just here, which if I shade it, you'll see, because my lights are so bright, you'll see, actually, let's try this. Tone it down so that you can really see that it's silver and white and black there. So the silver beads, they're really lustrous and luminescent, and I absolutely adore them. So just like we were just before, we're going to pick up 2 seed beads and thread through each one little by little, just like so. Pull it nice and tight. But yeah, so you can see this is really sort of coming together quite nicely, quite quickly, and it gives you that gorgeous little outer frame edge. I will do the clasp as well when I get to the end of this one, just because it's a nice little simple, easy way of adding on your clasp. Now, one thing that I will mention, when you're doing this process, if you find that when you're pulling it tight, it's curving and buckling a bit. Wait a minute, let's just zoom out a little. So see how that's getting a bit curved and buckled? It's not a big problem, because when you go back down the opposite side, it will straighten it back out because you'll have an equal amount of pressure on both sides. So allow it to be nice and firm. And if it does start turning like this, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. It's perfectly fine for that to happen, because when, like I said, you go down this end, it will straighten it nicely back up again. Won't be a problem for you at all. And I'm going to show you how to add the clasp on. I mean, really, I should go back down the opposite side again, but I'm not going to, just so I can show you how to do the clasp section. I'm sure that's what you're after seeing. Let's get you there nice and tight. Go through that hole too. Do you know what? This is what I can do just to save myself a bit of time. So just pretend you've gone all the way down one side and you've gone all the way down the other side. You would have 2 full sides, and you would end up, once you've finished both sides, coming out of 2 beads at the very, very end of your far bracelet. So it would be the same. So I'm going to just weave around, so it's going to be as though I've done that, and then I'm at that point. Just get them nice and firm. Go through the length of my bracelet, and then... So yeah, when it comes to adding the clasp, you'll find that you'll go through those last 2 final beads, and you'll be ready to start adding your clasp. So I've just woven around so that we can pretend that that's where I was at. You remove your stopper, because you're not going to need that one anymore. Keep my tail thread out the way. There we go. So yeah, the stopper, you don't need it. You could remove it once you get to this sort of point, and then pull everything nice and firm so it's all well and good and in position where you need it to be. Pull that tight too. There we go. So everything is firm. And now let me just show you. Hopefully I've got my instructions. I've added my second side. And now what I'm going to do is pick up 4 beads and go through the end hole of that second that little sticking out bead. So there we go. I've added those 4 beads. That's that little step just there. So what I'm going to do now is pick up my clasp there. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 through my clasp, 1, 2, back down that last bead that I've added, 3 more, and then through that same hole again. So like I said, we pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 seed beads, slide it down. We go through the end of our clasp. See, there's a little loop there. Pull that down. And then I'll go back through this end little bead just here. Of course, the magnets, because the needles tend to be made of iron, they can stick to your little clasp, but that's okay at the minute. You'll see in a second. We'll just hold on to our clasp, and we go down through that last little bead back in the direction which we came from. And that will sit really neatly like this. We want to go through this little loop a couple of times to make sure it's nice and secure. But once we've done this, we go 1, 2, 3, like so, through the top hole again of this little bead here. Pull that through. And then as we pull that tight, see how it makes that nice little loop on the top? Again, like I said, I recommend going through that all once more so that it's extra firm. Do it once, twice, 3 times, as many times as you can get through. I recommend going through it so it's extra firm. We then look at our diagram and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, round the corner and finish off. So here we go. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. And then we go through the beads on the edge there. So we'll go through just first that one and pull it nice and tight. Obviously, if there were more beads here, it would sit much firmer, which you'll see in a second. Because I didn't do this, oops, this other side. There we go, see that? It's starting to sit really nicely on the end. And then I'll just fill in these little gaps so that you can see them a few. Like this. And go through first that first bead. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And then through the next, and we just continue along down that edge, adding the rest of our little frame. But now let me show you a little trick so that you don't have to worry so much about your pieces. So here's my old one just here, so I'll do it on this one here. What you will do essentially is just make yourself a little chain of beads that goes from this corner here to this corner here, so that essentially when your clasps click together like this, you've got a little piece that secures the 2 ends to each other. So I'll cut myself a nice little piece of thread. I'll weave it into my design, which essentially this piece, you've just got to tie some knots between the beads and finish it off once it's all finished. But this is how you secure your little magnetic clasps. You make yourself a little safety chain. You can make it with the seed beads if you want to. You can do it with metal chain if you prefer as well. I've got an itchy nose today. So yeah, you can do it with a little metal chain if you prefer as well. But otherwise, essentially, all you're going to do is just weave yourself in a thread. So I'll just come down the edge here. So we'll just pull that through here, leave myself a tail. I'm going to do myself a nice little blanket stitch. So through that little circle there, pull that tight and make sure it stays nicely between those same beads. And that's going to tie that thread on. I'll do a few little blanket stitches because you do want this thread to be nice and secure. In fact, you could even use double thread just to be super safe. Might be a better way of doing it even. So I'll do another blanket stitch, just a little loop and then tie a knot. Pull it nice and firm. Through a couple more beads, maybe I'll go through 3. Pull that tight. Through there. Go through that loop. Let's turn my brightness back up. pull that tight. And again, I want to make sure my little loop stays between the beads that I'm using. And now finally, as I said, I will go from here, just a couple more beads, till I'm on the corner. So I've got enough little knots, I would suggest, for now. Got my thread tension really tight here, so I'm struggling to get into the beads. But 1, 2, 3, 4, that'll do. This will give me a nice little corner piece. And now what I'm going to do is make a little chain of beads that will join one side to the other. You want to make sure it's a nice long chain piece so that you don't have to worry about it coming undone or anything, but just a nice comfortable sort of size so that it will join the two pieces. You'll be able to get your hand in it, but it won't be kind of annoying or in the way or anything. So just whatever's comfortable for you. Let's just make this little chain just here. There we go, that's probably enough. And then, like I said, what I'm going to do is fold this over. Might as well even close my clasp up. And I'm going to go into the opposite side of my design. So I'll come through that one here into the same sort of corner bead, go through here, and pull that nice and tight. And this little chain, once I've got it nice and firm, which I'll tie a blanket stitch. Actually, I'll tie a blanket stitch in a bit, not quite yet. Here we go, because I do want to go through these beads a few times, and the easiest way is to just turn around and come sort of back the way we came on these ones. So I'll go down this little hole just here, across the length of my bracelet. Hopefully I'm nicely in shot there. Yeah, let's zoom back in a bit, turn up my brightness again. Here we go. Keep my thread out the way. Let's go all the way through it. And I've got a nice firm little piece here. I should have been a bit more careful. But get through there. Come on, find the hole. Oh, I've got a knot, that's why. Of course I do. I tied a knot in there earlier. Last time. Let's just get through that little bead. There we go. Through the next one as well, out the opposite side, through a few beads just here. Oops, am I in shot? Yep, good. Through a few beads, just 2 is enough. Pull that through there, and then I'm going to go back down from whence I came, so through that bead. Make sure my thread doesn't get caught. Through the next bead. And of course, like I said, tie some knots as you're going. I know I'm not doing it, but I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Nice and quickly. And then through a few more. I mean, you can almost design this however you want, as long as you've got a string that goes from one side to the other, so that you've got nice and strong multiple threads, so it's not going to break. Down the edge here, through a few more beads, pull that nice and tight. And now when you come to wearing it, you just pop your hand inside. So this is why you need it to be long enough so that you can get it over your hand, which I've only just given myself enough beads, thankfully. And then when you snap it closed, it's going to sit really nicely. So then when you're wearing it, if it gets caught, it doesn't come undone, it doesn't come off, it's still on your wrist, and you can just put it back on again. So see that? Easy, easy. I'll just show you all of the different colorways once more. They are on sale, so do head on over to the Bead Spider website and take a look at those. Little kits. They are on sale for the next week, so I'm halfway through this one. I'll have to finish this off. This is our classic, our vintage violet. We've got our indigo, and then we also have, which I think this one is personally my favorite because I think the color is just gorgeous against skin tones. Even someone who's quite pale like me, this sort of coppery, fleshy, reddy skin tones, it looks really, really nice on. And then, of course, you've got the effect of the stripes, which, let's just turn this light off even more so that you can really see what it looks like, the different beads. But yeah, it looks really, really effective once you're wearing it. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. But yeah, go grab the kit, sign up to our newsletter. Please do like, share this video as well. I think we're almost at 21,000 subscribers now. We're at 20,000 just before Christmas. We're almost at 21,000 now. So yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, click that little subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, like our page, sign up as well to the little notification bell so that you'll know when our videos are on. But lastly, of course, the newsletter. If you want to get £5 worth of patterns for free, you can get those from our newsletter. You sign up to the newsletter and you'll get a coupon code for buying some of our beading patterns. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I had lots of fun doing it. Like I said, it's a nice, simple, easy design. You just weave back and forth, picking up the beads that you need, working in disc duo beads, which are a really fun two-hole bead to play with that I really like. And hopefully, I think you'll like them too. I'll see you guys all next week. Make sure you signed up to that newsletter so that you will know what's coming on probably Tuesday will be the email. Unless we got a tutorial on Wednesday, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll see you all then. Thank you all very, very much for joining me. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.